Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Learning with Jelly. So, today we're going to dive into list comprehensions. Now, the last three or so lessons, we talked about lists. We talked about how lists are surrounded by square brackets, how lists are collections, how you can iterate through lists, how you can index lists by pulling out certain items. We talked about certain methods that lists have, such as dot append, where you can add things to a list. And today we're going to talk about this concept of list comprehensions, where it's pretty much a for loop meets a list, and you're able to do for loops in one line. So in the visual that you see on your screen, this is going to be the formula for list comprehensions. And as you practice this, I want you to remember the formula. What you want to do goes first. The collection that you're interested in, or that first line in a for loop, and we talked about for loops in the first two lessons of this module, goes next. And an optional conditional statement goes last. So you can think of do this for this collection in this situation. So we're going to keep that in mind. So our agenda for today, we want to know the syntax of a list comprehension, and we want to be able to create some simple list comprehensions. So what are list comprehensions? As I mentioned, they are a way to iterate or cycle through a list. And the goal is to create a new list that has done something to each item of an existing list, or has done something to some of the items of an existing list. Sometimes list comprehensions can be a lot faster than for loops. So some people choose to do list comprehensions if it's going to save them time, if it's going to increase code efficiency. And as I mentioned, think of this syntax as what do you want to do in green? Do this for what collection in red here, given an optional situation. And the blue is optional. So we're not going to quite do the blue today. We're going to stick with the green and the pink color that you have on your screen. And notice that for the output in this example, I have X and I also have X in the collection. So these two need to be the same. If you have X plus 1, for X in range 5. Or if you have pizza plus 1, for pizza in range 5. If you have W plus 1, W plus 1 for W in range 5. So it doesn't matter if this is X or a word or anything else, but the two need to be the same. And you'll see in the examples that we have. So now let's code this out. I have a list comprehension called bonus, and I want to multiply each of these values by 6% because everybody in my company is going to get a 6% bonus. So it's going to be do this for this in bonus. So let's do that. We know it's a list comprehension, so we have our brackets, and I'm going to do X times 6%. For X, because remember that has to be the same. I used X, so now I have to continue to use X. For X in, what is the list that I want to check? Bonus. So this is the case. And I get out everybody's 6% bonus. So it's just that simple. What do you want to do for where you want to do it in? Okay. So let's look at our next example. Use a list comprehension that capitalizes the greetings below. So we want to do data standardization. So in this case, it's a list comprehension, going back to those brackets. And I want to do word dot upper. And remember that has the parentheses because it's a method. For word, right? So for every word in this list, I want to do word dot upper in greetings. And here I get my uppercase. And let's try to do one more. And these take practice. I highly recommend in the description below, there's a link to the GitHub for you to go ahead and do your Git clone, get down this notebook so you can practice. So in this case, squaring each of the numbers in the list below. So I'm going to do my brackets and I'm going to do num and I'm going to square it for num in nums. And I get out my square. Okay. So that in a nutshell is list comprehensions. And they are a way to change certain values within a list. They can be faster, and make sure you follow that syntax. Do this for this. So thank you all for tuning in to Learning with Jelly. Please like, comment, and subscribe and follow along. We're going to dive a little bit further into list comprehensions in the next lesson. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.